Hello and welcome to the show. Buckle up because today we're diving into the world of automotive disasters. We're talking about those car companies that keep mechanics up at night, those brands that make you want to slam on the brakes and run in the opposite direction. These are the car companies that have left drivers fuming and mechanics shaking their heads, from exploding gas tanks to engines that sound like a dying walrus. We're going to expose the underbelly of the automotive industry. Get ready to cringe because we're about to take a wild ride through the history of some truly terrible cars. The Yugo. Where do we even begin? This Yugoslavian masterpiece of mediocrity was like the Trabant's awkward cousin, twice removed. It was the automotive equivalent of a participation trophy. Sure, it technically existed, but nobody actually wanted it. The Yugo was the answer to a question nobody asked. What would happen if you built a car entirely out of spare parts found in a dumpster fire? The answer, as it turns out, was an unmitigated disaster. This rolling testament to planned obsolescence was notorious for its build quality, or lack thereof. We're talking doors that flew open at highway speeds, engines that coughed and sputtered more than a chain smoker in a windstorm, and a level of structural integrity that made a wet paper bag look like Fort Knox. In fact, the Yugo was so poorly made that it became a punchline. Late-night talk show hosts had a field day with it, comedians built entire routines around its awfulness, and it even managed to achieve cult status as the butt of countless jokes. But hey, at least it was cheap, right? Well, that's debatable. Sure, the sticker price might have been low, but when you factor in the constant repairs, the endless stream of replacement parts, and the sheer amount of time you'd spend pushing it off the road, it ended up being a pretty expensive proposition. The Yugo car so bad it almost makes you feel sorry for the people who designed it. Almost. The Ford Pinto. It's the car that single-handedly launched 1,000 lawsuits and gave the term exploding gas tank a whole new meaning. Now, we all know Ford has made some great cars, but the Pinto, well, let's just say it's not exactly a shining example of American engineering prowess. You see, the Pinto had a bit of a design flaw, a rather significant one, actually. It turns out that placing the fuel tank directly behind the rear axle with a grand total of zero protection wasn't exactly the smartest move in automotive history. In fact, even a minor rear-end collision could turn the Pinto into a fiery inferno, which, let's be honest, isn't exactly what you want in a family sedan. Now, you might think that Ford would have immediately recalled the Pinto, fixed the problem, and issued a heartfelt apology. But you'd be wrong. Instead, Ford's brilliant solution was to simply do nothing. That's right. They calculated that it would be cheaper to pay out wrongful death lawsuits than it would be to recall and fix all those ticking time bombs on wheels. The Pinto became a symbol of corporate greed and disregard for human life. It's a stark reminder that sometimes even the biggest and most well-known companies can make catastrophically bad decisions. Volkswagen, the company that once proudly proclaimed its cars were Das Auto, ended up being anything but. In 2015, the world watched in astonishment as the seemingly squeaky clean German automaker was caught red-handed in a massive emissions scandal, aptly dubbed Dieselgate. It turns out that Volkswagen, in a move that would make even the most seasoned used car salesman blush, had been cheating on emissions tests for years. They equipped their diesel cars with software designed to trick regulators into thinking their vehicles were far cleaner than they actually were. In reality, these supposedly eco-friendly cars were spewing out up to 40 times the legal limit of harmful pollutants. It was a stunning revelation that sent shockwaves through the automotive industry and beyond. The fallout was swift and brutal. Volkswagen faced billions of dollars in fines, plummeting stock prices, and a public relations nightmare of epic proportions. The scandal tarnished the company's reputation, eroded consumer trust, and cast a long shadow over the entire diesel car market. Chrysler, the company that's been bailed out more times than a leaky rowboat, has a long and storied history of producing cars that are about as reliable as a weather forecast in a hurricane. From electrical gremlins that would make Frankenstein's monster jealous to transmissions that shifted with all the grace of a drunken hippopotamus, Chrysler has managed to achieve a level of unreliability that's almost impressive. And if you thought their cars were bad, just wait until you have to deal with their customer service. It's like navigating a labyrinthine bureaucracy designed by Kafka himself, only with more frustration and unanswered phone calls. Chrysler has become synonymous with mediocrity, a byword for everything that's wrong with the American auto industry. They're the automotive equivalent of that one friend who always shows up late, forgets your birthday, and borrows money they never intend to repay. We're not saying that all Chrysler cars are bad, but if you're looking for a vehicle that's going to start every morning and get you where you need to go without incident, you might want to look elsewhere. Fiat, the Italian automaker known for its stylish designs and questionable reliability, has become the punchline of countless jokes about cars that spend more time in the shop than on the road. From electrical systems that resemble a tangled ball of Christmas lights to engines that burn oil faster than a deep fryer at a carnival, Fiat has earned its reputation as the poster child for unreliable cars. And let's not forget about their infamous rust issues. It's like they built their cars out of sugar cubes and parked them at the bottom of the ocean for a few years before selling them. But hey, at least they're stylish, right? Well, that's debatable. Sure, they might look good on a showroom floor, but once those rust spots start appearing and the engine starts making noises that sound like a dying walrus, that Italian charm tends to wear off pretty quickly. Look, we get it. Everyone loves a good underdog story. But at some point you have to wonder if maybe, just maybe, Fiat's reputation for unreliability is well deserved. And there you have it, folks, the car companies that have driven us all up the wall. From exploding gas tanks to engines that sound like dying farm animals, these automotive mishaps serve as cautionary tales for anyone brave enough to venture into the world of car buying. Remember, always do your research before buying a car, read reviews, talk to mechanics, and for the love of all that is holy, check the safety ratings. Safe driving!